guys, welcome back to my channel. I've got a really fun one for you today. This one is really magical, whimsical, fairy tale like with a little mermaid. So let's get started right away. I'm going to go over the colors and a few of the brushes. We're going to be working on this 12 by 18 canvas. I primed over an old painting with just regular black paint. I let it dry. I've got some light ultramarine blue here, turquoise, lemon yellow, sap green, phthalo blue, titanium white, and whatever other colors I may decide to use along the way, I'll add in the description box below for you guys. I'm going to be using a number 11 flat brush. Okay, so I'm first going to take some of my sap green, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit of turquoise, so all three colors. And I want to start adding some lily pads in here. I'm going to make some large ones. So you ever seen those giant lily pads? They're really cool. So it goes up and around, and then there's like this little dip like that. So we're just going to make some of these little disc shapes. Little ovals like this. Just taking some of my yellow and white. I'm going to come inside and pull like that. And then very lightly pull down a few little lines like that. I'm going to come up and outline the top carefully. And then I'm going to leave a little space in here. I'm going to wipe some of the excess paint off of my brush and come in here and softly blend that out. I've got a little Filbert brush here. And I'm going to go right underneath here. Right underneath like this. And take a little bit more of my yellow. And pull a little line down in here. So bring it around and then pull some little lines. So just go over that again. I'm going to come back inside here, a little line like this, almost all the way, and then add a highlight here. Comes very close, and then across like this. And then there's a little line underneath here. This is just some highlights where those sun rays are going to be hitting. So there's one, and we'll do the same thing on each of these. So I'll bring it up, come around. This one's overlapping. And there's just these little lines like this that come down. So we want to add a mid-tone in here. We've got that dark green underneath, and then we want to add green and yellow that will make a mid-tone. Then we can add some smaller ones. And this brush, a little Filbert brush, is really nice for doing this. It makes it so much easier. And they can overlap. Can create different colored ones too. So let's see, what if we took some of our phthalo blue sap green, and maybe there's more of a shadow back here on this one. Maybe a little bit of blue green in the water as well. Could start adding a little bit of color to the water. Let's take some more of that phthalo blue. See how it's mixing in with the colors that are left over on my brush. So this is just some darker in shadow, kind of blurry in the distance, and that really brings the light out in these ones up here. So you need that balance of light and shadow. So got a number 4 little liner brush like this, and I'm going to take a little bit of white with that yellow again. A little bit on the very tip of your brush to use. I'm just going to go a little bit wiggly at the top here. Make these two meet right down here. And then I'm going to pick up some of my dark sap green. And what we're going to do is kind of add little veins, little lines. And they're going to curl over the edge like this. And we'll do some over here as well. And I'm going to paint a little water lily. So I'm going to mix the two together like that. Actually, I think I want a little bit more white in there. Let's put it over here. So there's going to be just a little line like this. And then it's going to be a scoop shape. Okay. So just a little scoop like that. And then we're just going to push lightly, pull in. Get those little pointy petals. And then we could do some just off the side like this. And then I'm going to take just straight white. And I'm going to come right in front. the sun like that. Then we're going to go right into our sap green and add a little leaf or part of the stem here, just a little bit of green, and blend it right into, just need a little bit more here on my brush. Pull it right down into there, just a little. We want this to be very delicate, but there's a little bit more pink, I think, just right there, just to bring that together. Maybe we have a little something over here. It'll be a little bit blurrier and smaller. So just really quickly like that, you can create the feeling of little water lilies. Add a little bit more pink to that one, and then you know what? I'm going to add some of my light blue violet. Beautiful light blue violet, and I'll show you. It's this right here by Liquitex Basic Acrylics. It's a really gorgeous color. I think I've been using this color just about almost every painting lately. So I'm just adding a little bit like that, just for a cool shadow, and then some of the green, and we'll just bring it right down there. And then maybe there's something back here. Can't really see it very well, just a little blob like that. So I've washed off my little Filbert. It's nice and clean and dry. And I think I'm just going to take a little bit of that dusty, or that bubblegum pink, and do a little soft glow around this one. I'm going to take a dry brush. Oh, there we go. Just sort of tap that, make it look a little bit blurry, like it's in the distance. And you could even take whatever's left on the brush from making that one look blurry, and maybe the indication that there's some more. I don't know, this is just sort of a fairy tale world we've got here. Maybe add a little bit of that blue in there. A little bit of blue around that one. I'm getting Monet vibes right now. I don't want to get caught up in painting too many water lilies. I have something in mind that I want to create, so I don't want to get off track. I'm going to use my little liner brush again. Take some sap green, turquoise, and yellow, all three on my brush. And I think I will add some big blades of grass in here. Pulling lightly. You can just layer over. You can make some of them a little bit darker by adding some of the sap green inside. I'm just going to switch to a larger brush. I'm going to use my, what number is this? Number 4 Filbert brush. And in here we've got some tropical plants. Some light little pulls, and then you let off on the end to make it look a little bit skinnier and pointier. So I'm going to do this very lightly now with a little bit more turquoise and yellow. And then we can have some, I don't know, maybe some little leaves over here. I'm going to take some of my phthalo blue, turquoise, as well as that green, just for some other colors in here. So I just wiggle and then let off and make the ends of them kind of pointy. So I'm just going to take more phthalo now and go over some of these here, make them a little bit darker. And what a pretty color. All these colors are so pretty just by taking turquoise and light blue violet and that phthalo blue. Maybe I'll just add a little bit of color here in the water. Take some of my sap green and turquoise. Really come in and layer over this. Just want a bunch of foliage over here. I'm just going to let that sit for a little bit and dry. Now back here, I think I'd like to add some more of my phthalo blue because I'm really liking the way this is looking. These moody blue tones back here for that shadow. And I'm going to just pick up a little bit of my blue violet just to make this show up a little bit better. Just continue to add this foliage back there to give it a little bit of distance, like where it's starting from and where it trails off to. I really like that. And I think I'm going to take some of my sap green and phthalo. What if we take some of our light blue violet? That's a pretty color. Maybe a little bit more phthalo blue. Whoops, I actually picked up a little bit of turquoise in there. That's okay. And let's see where we should put this. Maybe we'll add a little something right here. Maybe a few other lily pads right here. A little bit of yellow. Nothing too fancy, just want that idea that there's some little lily pads here, very loose painting. Add a little bit more light to this one. After a while the paint sets into the canvas, so you need to come back and add a little bit more. But look at this nice light that we've created in here. Bring this one up just a little bit higher. create a pretty light source right up in here. So I'm going to take my light blue, violet, and white, and I'm just going to add a little opening right here, a little bit more like that. I think it would be kind of pretty to just take your flat brush and a little bit of that blue violet, and right up in here, add a few little rays. Add a little bit of phthalo, make this a bit darker. I know it's going to dry darker anyway, so I'm not too worried. It's not quite dry, so I just accidentally picked a little bit of that up. And we can soften that, no problem. Just scumbling, creating a soft glow back there. And I'm going to take blue and green and just wipe the excess off. And then we're just going to tint these soft little looking rays. Just add a little tint back here to help build up that glow and keep that nice greeny blue color tone here. Okay, so now I'm gonna begin to paint a mermaid, and I'm just deciding where I want to place her. Maybe we can put her right over here instead of in the middle. So that doesn't show up that well right now, does it? But we're gonna add a little bit of blue flat to my brush like that. And then holding my brush flat like this, I can make it seem like a palette knife. And of course you can just use a palette knife if you want. But if you don't have a palette knife, then you know you can just use something like this. Phthalo in here. Bring a little bit of life. A little bit of color down here. A little bit of yellow and turquoise. And just add a little bit on this rock here. Get my flat brush back again. And I'll just go side to side. Or if you want to have a reflection like this, I'm just going to pull down this rock a little bit more, a little bit lower. So you can go both ways, right? You can go flat like this, or you can just pull. Make some of it look a bit rounded. Add a few ripples in the water. Alright, so I'm going to begin the mermaid using this small number 4 Filbert brush. A little bit of white, a little pink. So white, pink, and yellow to make a little bit of a warm skin tone. And we'll have her maybe sitting like this. So this is her bottom right here. I'm going to twist up like this, over like this, and then her head will be just like this. We'll have some hair that's going to cover up part of that. So don't worry too much about, you know, thinking it has to be perfect. Just do one step at a time. So here's her knee coming over, her leg, her bottom, and her knees. And then we're going to pull over like this and scoop around, and then we're going to make her tail. And for her tail, I think I'm going to take turquoise and light blue violet. We'll start it right there. And we'll work on that a little bit after. Let's just go back to her figure. Okay, so do that again. Make that a little bit wider. So she's looking up here, and she's got her hand right like this, and her elbow is about right here. So a little line this way, a line that way. Let's join them. Her wrist and her hand, her face, and this is just going to be hair, and then her arm, and then more hair. So I'm not really great with painting figures, but if you can add some hair to kind of camouflage, or if you paint a figure in silhouette, it can be easier. I suppose if I practiced a little bit more with figures, I'd be better at them. But it's just not something that really appeals to me. So this is her other arm in here, and you can see that it's pulling in the paint from underneath, but that's totally fine. We're just out for the main shape right now. I'm just going to take a little bit more white. Come in here again, go over this, and she's got her other hand right there. I'm going to go back to this rock she's sitting on and just let that kind of dry right now. So I'm going to take white, green, and yellow. Maybe there's bits of moss and vines just kind of dangling off here. Take some of my phthalo blue now. And a little bit in here. And I think I'll add some little ferns. Just use a mixture of your greens and your turquoises, white, blue, just to add some pretty little ferns in here and leaves. I'm just going to come in here and make this a little bit narrower. Start adding a little bit of a shadow in here. And I'm just going to have some hair coming down here. So just using a little bit of watered down white along with some green that's left in my brush. And we can begin working on her tail. I'm just going to take my light blue violet start creating a pretty fan down here. I'm kind of just going to make up a cool looking tail. Yeah, just a little bit of yellow here. Some yellow and turquoise. Start adding a shadow right about here. And then one in here for her midriff. Taking phthalo blue and light blue violet. Just going to go in and swirl. And a little shadow right there. I think I'm just going to make this a little bit darker down in here. With a nice shadow here, just using some blue and green. Use my little liner brush. A few little swirls in there. Maybe we can have her wearing a little crown. I'm going to add a little bit of green to it. And then a little bit of pink and white. Maybe a few more little water lilies back here. Back to this little soft blending brush. And maybe just a little bit of green in here. Some lily pads way back in the distance. That yellowy green right in there too. Just do some little, a few more little curls right here. And subtle little highlights there in the water. I've got my little liner brush again and I picked up some white and pink. I want to add a little bit more flowers here, make this look a little prettier, and then add some of that color to her hair. I think I'll pull some down right in here. You see that's going to mix in with the blue and make a purpley color. Take some more of that green. And add some of that in there too. Add some green here in the water. First with the yellow and green and turquoise, and then just sap green. Got my large blending brush here again on my number 11. I'm going to sweep down and then across. So turquoise, light blue violet, and a bit of phthalo. Push, wiggle, and turn. Push, wiggle, and then turn. And maybe have a little butterfly. Also a little bit of white inside. A little bit of blue. I'll take a little bit of my neon pink. And a little bit of white. And then I'll just add a few little ones here. Adding just a little bit of pink here. Okay, now the only other thing to do is the little rays up here, so I have to take this out. And set it like that, so that I can get to the top easily. Okay, so I'm going to take my flat brush, a bit of blue and turquoise. So right up here, right up in there. Bit. So we're going to bring some of the rays out to the foreground and keep some of them further in the distance, just to make this interesting. Now I really want to bring a ray right out here, but I have to wait for her to dry a little bit first. Just taking my phthalo blue nail and making this one darker. This one as well. Right on the top here, right down over. And then I'm going to take some green and some blue and tap right up here. It look like it, she's kind of in a cave. And then give a greenish glow to this side. Add a little bit of yellow up here so we know that there's some plants. Just adding a little bit of yellow and green in here is creating on an angle, just a little bit on an angle like this, guys. Is creating that atmosphere that she's inside of a cave. A little bit of white with my yellow. Brighten up a few of these in here. A little bit more white right up in here. Bring that nice brightness back. And add a little bit of some little circles or rocks or something down here. Or maybe it's just some little bit of mist or morning fog. I'm just going to take my little tiny mop brush little soft pulls like this, and it feels like fog. Just to soften up this area a little bit. I'm going to use my white and my blue, my light blue violet. A little one like that. And then this one's coming down from here, so it looks like they're flying in towards that light. I've got a little bit of blue, some pink. I think I'm gonna call this one all done, you guys. And though it's not perfect, she's not perfect, you get a feeling from this painting, and it's very magical, I think, and I'm happy with it. This was a longer tutorial, a longer video, and let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time very soon. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a like. Thanks guys, bye!